Okay, let's take a look at the keyboard. And we're going to talk a little bit about what the different areas are called. So right here is the middle of the keyboard. I think I've got it back far enough. You can see there are going to be 5 areas that we're going to give names to. The middle, the part where it's near your piano name, is the middle of the keyboard. As we move up, we go to what's called the treble area. That's because the notes that we read here are on something called a treble clef. And then up here is the high area of the keyboard. If I move back to the middle, as I go down, this is called the bass part of the piano, and that's because we read notes on the bass clef when we're reading here. And then this is the low part of the piano. So low, bass, middle, treble, high. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a quiz. I would like you to try to play a note, and I don't care which note you play, I can't hear you, but play a note anywhere in the middle of the keyboard. Now, let's play a note on the high part of the keyboard. So, are you playing something over here? That's the high part of the keyboard. Play something at the low part of the keyboard. So you should be down there, right? How about the treble part? Do you remember where the treble was? Treble is going to be here, just above the middle. And then play a note in the bass part of the piano. And that will be here. Very good. Now, another thing to work on playing is to work on dropping into the keys on the piano. And today we want to talk about, first of all, remember how we've talked about taking a breath before you start your first note? And when we breathe with our, as being a piano player, we breathe with our wrists. So we talked about breathing like this and then drop into the key, right? So I would like you to do some experimenting. I'm going to explain what I want you to do, but then you can stop the video and just kind of practice with it. But you're going to be working on using a nice rounded hand shape to drop in, and I would suggest using your tall finger and drop that one in, and think about, maybe pretend that you have a parachute on your hand and you're parachuting into the key. And you want to land all the way to the ground, so you press that key down to feeling the key bed. And you want to figure out how much effort that's going to take with your arm to make the key go down. Now you can experiment with your keys. Remember, pianos are different, but you can use a very little weight. Let's see if I can turn this so that you can watch me from the side. And if I use very little weight into the key, I can get a soft sound. So what I'd like you to do is just experiment with the keys. And I'd like you to be using your arm. Do you notice how, if you could see me here, this part of my arm, I'm feeling my muscle move from this upper part of my arm here. And I'm using that weight to drop into the key. If I use more weight to drop into the key, I'm going to get more sound. And notice I am not hitting the keys. We don't want to have forced, harsh sounds, do we? But we want to be able to take that breath, drop into the key, and have beautiful sound when we're done. And so I'd like you to experiment doing that with both of your hands. You use the tall finger, practice with the right hand, dropping in like a parachute, and then lifting out. And then you can do the same thing with your left hand and experiment and see how much weight it takes to drop in to get the different kinds of sound that you want. And that's called using arm weight.